The Phils have definitely had a little extra bounce in their step for the first month and a half of the season. Signs of the organization's future are slowly becoming the present, and in recent performances, the future looks bright. The final series of the homestand opens with Aaron Nola back on the mound against the visiting Atlanta Braves. So I went to a ball game tonight and a pup parade broke out. That's right, the Phils have a bark in the park here at Citizens Bank Park, but it's a pup parade going around the ballpark. In fact, they're going to have Win, Place, or Show. They're taking their bark to the park to a whole new level. It's game one between the Phils and the Atlanta Braves here at Citizens Bank Park. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Ben Davis. We get set for the Phils and the Braves for the second time this year, but it's the first time the Phillies will have Brian Snitker on the other side as the Braves manager. Freddie Gonzalez relieved of his duties earlier this week.
A lot of changes for these Atlanta Braves, and unfortunately, Freddie Gonzalez being one of those casualties, he's not going to be the skipper of this Atlanta Braves ball club moving forward. He was relieved of his duties, and now Brian Snitker is the skipper.
Brian Snitker, 60 years old, longtime third base coach under Bobby Cox and Freddie Gonzalez, also a longtime manager in the minor leagues, over 1,200 victories. This is the first chance for him as a major league manager. All right, so the first guy that he'll see on the opposing team's mound is Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola has been fantastic so far for the Phillies. This was his last start against the Cincinnati Reds, and he had some really good command during this ball game.
You couldn't have said it any better, Tom. Command was exceptional for Aaron Nola's last start. Had a game plan, wanted to go in, basically use the fastball and the curveball early on in the ball game, mix in some changeups later. Exactly what he did. He stuck to it, and he had some success.
Now tonight he's going to face a lineup that has a lot of left-handers, so he's got to do that against the left-handers, and then he has to do this against the left-handers. He's able to dot it on the inside part of the plate, which he's been doing really all season long. You compare it to his starts last year, 5-1 with a 3.26 ERA. His ERA is down. The opponent's batting average against is down. And the biggest number, the walks and hits per innings pitch, that's down as well.
That number, that whip number we always talk about, it's minuscule, and you love to see it because you know me, Tom, I despise the walk, and he is cutting back on them this year.
He's cutting back on base runners. The Phils hope that continues tonight in game one of this three-game series against the Braves. He'll be opposed by Matt Whistler, who's making his 8th start this year. He's 1-3 with an ERA of 3.14. He pitched very well against the Phillies the last time they faced each other down in Atlanta. One of the bright spots for the Phils, well, he's kind of turned out to be the everyday left fielder. That's Tyler Goodell, who picked up his first major league home run in the last ball game for the Phils. We'll get to lineups and first pitch when we return. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. By Toyota. Get a great deal on your favorite Toyota during the Toyota Time Sales Event. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank. The next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. By Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Phils. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com. Here at Citizens Bank Park, it'll take the hill with a 3-2 record and an ERA that has been dropping over his last handful of starts. Let's take a look at the Braves lineup for tonight. It's brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Inciarte leads it off in left, then Gordon Beckham and Freddie Freeman. Nick Markakis, the right fielder, bats cleanup. Kelly Johnson hits fifth. A.J. Brzezinski will bat sixth. The bottom third of Ibar, Whistler, and Malik Smith. Yes, the Braves have the pitcher batting eighth because of Malik Smith. And they will face Aaron Nola, 3-2, an ERA of 2.89. You know, he's not overpowering by any stretch, Ben, but he's averaging more than a strikeout per inning pitch. It's kind of like Jeremy Hellickson, not overpowering, but averaging a strikeout per inning pitch.
The command, we talked about it in the open, his command keeps getting better. The curveball has been just unbelievable for him. .093 is the batting average against that breaking ball. 3 pitches, he needs to use all of them, especially that changeup, which continues to get better.
All right, time now for the Nissan keys to today's ball game.
The keys for me, go Goodell. Keep it going, Tyler.
Go Gadget, go.
He's been really solid since being plugged in the everyday lineup, and don't look past the Braves. Yes, they have a road trip coming up to Detroit and Chicago, but they have to take care of the Braves first.
Well, they're going to take care of a Braves team that has 7 left-handers, counting the switch hitter. 7 left-handers in the lineup today, including Ender Inciarte will lead things off. And he slaps it off the glove of Maikel Franco, picked up by Galvis, and they won't throw him out.
Not what you're expecting to lead off a ball game, especially if you're a third baseman with a lefty up, but you have to be ready at all times.
It almost looked like that surprised Maikel Franco.
Yeah, we've seen this Braves ball club swing very early, but definitely a play that Maikel should have made.
So the Braves have a base runner, and Gordon Beckham, he's been the hottest of the Braves hitters, 5 for 10 against the Pirates. And over his last 16 games, he's raised his average to .333. They have scored that an error to Maikel Franco.
I think that's the right call.
I do too. Because looking at the replay, it wasn't hit all that hard.
No.
It was just more a surprise to Franco. Beckham has reached base safely in 14 of his last 16 games. And that's part of the reason why his batting average is at .333. Inciarte has a short lead over at first. Now Beckham is one of 2 right-handed batters in the starting lineup today for the Braves. Matt Whistler is the other. I was talking to Rick Kranitz about that. You know, Rick was a longtime pitching coach. I said, do you think there's anything to it? He said, well, I think they put a couple more lefties in, but I think this is their lineup. I think they have a lot of left-handers in their lineup. If there's a lefty on the hill, they start Francoeur normally in the outfield.
Right.
But if it's a righty, they put a lefty in. It could be partly because of the success they had against Jared Eichhoff. I asked Rick about that. He said, I don't necessarily think that. He said, honestly, I think Aaron Nola's curveball is going to work better against those lefties. That ball's hit right back toward the middle, a base hit, so Beckham continues his hot hitting. And the Braves have runners on first and second with nobody out to start this ball game.
You are right. He's going to have success with that curveball. But if I'm a hitter, I'd much rather see that curveball on the left side of the plate than the right.
There's Roger McDowell, the longtime pitching coach for the Atlanta Braves. Freddie Freeman, the batter, with runners on first and second. The first breaking ball is outside. Freeman is hitting a .179 on this road trip. He only has 7 at bats against Aaron Nola, but he's 3 for 7 against him. Home plate umpire is the veteran Sam Holbrook, and he just said that ball was inside. Brian Snitker is behind the pole, Braves interim manager. He has a new bench coach. The Braves have a new bench coach. Terry Pendleton is next to him instead of in the first base coach's box. Back toward the middle. Freddie Galvis is there. He'll go to the second base bag, and that's all they'll get. The ball right over the head of Aaron Nola.
Broken bat there by Freddie. It's a good play by Freddie Galvis in the fact that he keeps the double play. He very easily could have just gotten that ball and thrown it to first base, but it's a good play. He gets back to second base and keeps the double play in order. This is Aaron Nola duck. But Freddie does get a nice job of getting back to the bag. Beckham really give him credit too. He got that second base quickly.
Nick Markakis was leading off when the Phillies saw the Braves, but he has 22 RBIs. There was a lot of talk about whether they would move him down in the lineup because of that. Well, they have. He may not be a cleanup hitter, the prototypical cleanup hitter, but from a Braves standpoint, his 22 ribbies lead the way. Part of the success he's had is with runners on third and less than 2 outs.
Nick very aggressive early in counts. We saw him swing at the first pitch of the ball game when he was in the leadoff spot the last series in Atlanta. Lead off the game. I'm not seeing one much the way like Inciarte just did to lead off this ball game.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Markakis in his second year with the Atlanta Braves after beginning his career with the Baltimore Orioles. Such a steady player for the Orioles. Swing and a miss again. Back-to-back breaking pitches. That one a little different than the last one, but still. Heck, I would think about throwing it again in a different spot maybe.
I think he almost have to after these 2 swings by Markakis. Sometimes he'll get around it and it'll be more like a slider. That one had more depth to it, more break.
Fastball, and it's 2-2. Just hasn't gotten that fastball to run all the way back just yet. The veteran Kelly Johnson is on deck for a Braves team that comes in 10-30. 14.5 games out in the National League East. He did throw it again, and this time Markakis was able to get a piece of it.
I think after that fastball in, he was going to go ahead and sit on that breaking ball. If he were able to double up with a fastball in for a strike, I think he would have got a strike 3 looking.
Ground ball towards second base. Hernandez has it, flips to second for 1 tough flip in time. Double play, and it gets Aaron Nola out of the inning. Well, that was all Freddie Galvis because that was not an easy grab on the flip by Cesar Hernandez, and he was still able to get enough on it to nail Nick Markakis over at first. Braves threatened in the top of the first, do not score. We'll head to the bottom of the first. thank a little bit for the top half of the first inning coming to a close without any runs. This is not the easiest of catches that Galvis makes to turn this double play.
No, it's not. It's really not the best feed by Caesar, but he does make the most of it. He's able to get Marquez. Look at that intensity in his eyes. That's something that we've seen from day one in spring training. Look at that intensity. That's what you love to see, especially out of your middle infielders.
Take a look at the Phillies lineup brought to you by Xfinity. The new Xfinity X1 will change the way we experience TV. Herrera, Hernandez, Franco, Howard, Rupp, and Galvis. At the bottom third of Tyler Goodell, Aaron Nola, and Peter Borges. They will face right-hander Matt Whistler. Whistler is second time this year that he's facing the Phillies. Overall, he's 1-3 at ERA of 3.14. Odubel out with that back injury the other day. There are the numbers on Matt Whistler.
He's got some good stuff. I do like what I see out of him.
Outside, scouting report on Whistler.
You take a look at the scouting report. 14.2 pitches per inning. He's very economical that way, very efficient. He will throw that breaking ball from time to time, but mostly fastballs. He's a big fastball pitcher sitting at about 93 miles an hour.
Up top, 2-1. Asked Odubel today, I said, so how's the back? He said, it's good. I said, how did you do it? And then he proceeded to show me his body going up against the wall. I said, oh, okay. Thought he was going to knock a picture off the wall in the clubhouse. Outside, 3-1. If you hear the faint barking of a dog, it's not Pete McCadden trying to signal anything to the players. It is bark in the park here at Citizens Bank Park, so there are some dogs that are enjoying tonight's game. Well, enjoying the fact that they're with their owners at a game. Outside, ball forward. Odubel draws a walk.
Quite a few Fidos today.
That's right. Here's Cesar Hernandez. Cesar 6 hits and 22 at bats on this homestand so far. See his career numbers against the Braves. We talked about that when the Phillies were in Atlanta. His numbers are very good. There are a couple guys who have good numbers against the Atlanta Braves. Outside, 1-0. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is James Smith of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, and James will win $100.
Good luck, James. Can you repeat that city again?
Lancaster. Did I not say it right?
Just making sure. Thought I heard a Lancaster in there, but
no.
Just making sure.
I did not say Lancaster.
Okay.
1 ball and no strikes. Drove through Lancaster yesterday.
A quick little trip out to Pittsburgh and back, no big deal.
Yeah. A lot of construction on the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Never is.
1 ball, no strikes to Cesar Hernandez.
Whistler really falling off towards the first base side here, and the arms dragging behind. He's not able to get on top of the fastball right now. That's why he's missing down and away to lefties. And Caesar has had a good homestand. What I've liked about it is he's mixing a few more bunts, but he stayed in the middle of the field. That's what I like to see out of him.
Figured he'd be taking there. It's
Yes.
3-0. This is very unlike Whistler. If you look at his walk ratio, he only has 11 walks in 48 2/3. And ball. Ooh, wow, pitcher's pitch. Looked like it was a little outside.
See the arbiters for today.
Sam Holbrook, Jerry Davis, Rob Drake, Carlos Torres. Line drive off the glove of Whistler. He'll flip underhand to second, and it's in time to get Odubel Herrera. Odubel's looking around, wondering if anybody got a better look at it or not, thinking he might be safe. Now, he may have had a delay because the ball went off the glove of Whistler. That ball was smoked by Cesar Hernandez.
Like I got done saying, staying hard up the middle. Unfortunately, this is taken out of Cesar's hands. Take a pitch, hard back up the box. That ball caught his glove. Odubel's got to freeze for just a second. Realize the ball's down. He's out at second base.
Yeah, the throw did get there despite the fact that it was underhanded. So now Maikel Franco. Franco 1 for 10 so far in the homestand.
May has not been kind to Maikel.
It has not. One ball, no strikes to Franco. And that one's lined out to left field. Inciarte will. Oh, he deked him. He did it again. The throw goes to third base, and Cesar is safe at third. Franco's safe and secure at second and third with one man down. He did that to Carlos Ruiz when we're down in Atlanta and doubled him up. I thought that ball was hit too hard for it to be right at him.
Yeah, and I don't think, I mean, yes, he did deke him, but I don't think Cesar's going to score on this play anyway. I know he can fly, but that ball was peppered to left field. One of the best swings I've seen out of Maikel in a while. Very short and direct to the baseball. It's already fence high, Tom. All you got to do is tap it. That ball was drilled, but he got him. He definitely deked him.
I agree with you. There's no way he would have scored.
Yeah, that ball is smoked. But I like to see the head down on the baseball, not swinging so hard. Even Maikel stopped there for a quick second.
Right, Howard takes on the outside corner. It's 0-1. Career home runs against the Atlanta Braves. Be nice here, but what would be nice too is the fly ball.
Find a way, put it in play here.
0-2 pitch coming to Howard, and he does put it in play on one hot knockdown by Ibar. Run will come in, so Howard does get an RBI. Over to third base goes Franco. 1-0 Phillies.
Nice job. Down in the count 0-2. It's a curveball down in the zone, stays on it, stays through it enough. And Cesar has to make sure that ball does get down so he doesn't get doubled up off the third base there. But nice job by Ryan just to put the ball in play. Put it in play, good things happen. So that's a good sign for the Phillies. It's 3 balls hit hard this inning.
Absolutely.
Once you hit it hard, everything else, it's out of your control. But you did your job of hitting the ball hard.
Cameron Rupp will now be the batter. Rupp is 1 for 3 with a couple RBIs. In the series against the Miami Marlins. Outside corner. Tonight's game is also available in Spanish. Just use the SAP button on your television or change the language through the menu on your cable box.
See.
One ball, one strike to Cameron Rupp.
Another one out there, Cam. Pick him up.
He had a hanger and he fouled it off. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Brewers and the Mets are facing off at Citi Field. Chris Carter hit his 13th home run. It's 2-0 in favor of the Brewers.
Easy pop. It looked like he swings at the ball.
Mets 2.5 games out after getting drilled by the Nationals last night. Matt Harvey got drilled last night by the Nationals, and Terry Collins said after the game, I don't know why I was watching the post-game show, he said after the game they may skip his next start. Matt Harvey. I think a lot of it depends on how Matz does. He is starting tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Cameron Rupp. Swing and a miss. Went after a breaking pitch. Side is retired. Phillies, though, get a run. They leave one over at third. 1 run on 1 hit. We'll head to the second. 1-0 Phillies on top of the Braves. Awareness Day presented by Independence Blue Cross and Citizens Bank will be Sunday at 1:35 when the Phillies take on these Braves. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. Top of the second inning, and Kelly Johnson will lead it off. Johnson was 3 for 8 in the series against the Pirates. That was a series in which the Braves hit 6 home runs in 4 games. And you might think, well, that's not that big of a deal. But they had only had 6 home runs the entire year before that. So for the Braves, it was a big deal. Out of play, 1-1. Sam Holbrook is going to have to loosen up the strike zone on the inside part of the plate. And he probably will if Nola keeps on throwing the ball there. These pitches must be just barely inside because that's where he's set up. Now that's inside and low.
I wanted that first one. He needs that pitch to open up the outside part.
He does. Curveball hit foul off Rupp. It evens the count at 2-2. Speaking of the curveball, the opposition's hitting .093 against Aaron Nola's curveball. And he throws it a lot. It's not as if it's just a show-me pitch. He throws it a lot.
Yes, he does. In fact, he throws it 34% of the time.
Including right there, making Kelly Johnson do a little dancing.
I like the fact that he's not afraid to throw it behind in the count, head in the count, whenever. How did that ball not hit him? Glad it didn't.
How did he not let it hit him?
I know.
Got him out front of that curveball. First strikeout for Nola, 59th strikeout and 53 in a third innings. Time now for the minor league report, brought to you by Citizens Bank. Well, news today, J.P. Crawford was promoted to AAA, hitting .265 with 3 homers in AA. He also had 30 walks, so his on-base percentage was up. Unfortunate for Alec Asher, placed on the disabled list with a lower calf contusion. But this year, 4 starts in AAA. That doesn't include what he did in AA. But AAA, 3-0. Here's A.J. Pierzynski. Takes inside, 1-0. All right, so Murph, it's the next step now for J.P. Crawford. Where it leads him is entirely up to him at this point.
Yeah, it always is entirely up to the player. And, you know, of course, when we got to the ballpark today, one of the big conversations was why J.P. Crawford, why now? And Phillies GM Matt Klentak talked about that today with the members of the media. He said, first and foremost, you know, they put him in AA coming out of spring training. That's where he finished the year last year. But they wanted him to work his way up to AAA. They feel like the time is right to move him up there. They said he answered the bell. He has done everything they've asked him to do at the AA level, working on the things they wanted him to work on. They feel like he's gotten to that point and he's ready for the next challenge. And they said, honestly, you know, here's a guy, he was the #1 pick in 2013. They want him to push himself to Philadelphia. So the next step is AAA. The next step would be Philadelphia. They think they're ready. He had a very interesting conversation with Amy Fadul of Comcast Sportsnet. And that entire conversation is going to run tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. So Matt Klentak and Amy sitting down and talking about all things Phillies, but in particular about J.P. Crawford, guys.
All right, well, that's good news. And, you know, you saw the face of determination by Freddie Galvis after that double play.
Yes.
I don't think that the promotion of J.P. Crawford isn't lost on Freddie Galvis.
Right.
He's 21 years old, Crawford is, but Freddie does not want to relinquish that spot or his spot on this team. Now, it may happen just because J.P. Crawford is a very gifted player and Freddie may have to shift somewhere else, but he does not want to relinquish it.
I don't see Freddie. I really like what he's done.
It's been great.
He has been very good this season.
Ball's butted toward third. Here comes Franco and is not able to throw out Ibar. So a 2-out bunt single, and here comes Whistler.
The old 2-out bunt single with the pitcher on deck. Very aggressive move by Ibar. Good play by Michael, just not nearly enough time to get him at first base. And the reason I'm doubting that bunt for a hit with 2 outs and the pitcher on deck is make an out, then you have the pitcher leading off. Worked out for him.
Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes you might look at it as being a little selfish.
Yeah. You'd look at it that way for sure.
Whistler hitting .077. Over to third base. Here comes Franco. He's got time. And the inning is over. No runs, 1 bunt hit, and 1 man left over at first. We've completed 1.5. The Phils 1 and the Braves nothing. Finally made it to the bigs. He talks about his long, winding road to the majors on the next Phillies Clubhouse tomorrow night at 6:30, right here on CSN. Bottom of the second, 1-0. Phillies on top. And it will be Freddie Galvis, Tyler Goeddel, Aaron Nola to face Matt Whistler. There's Tommy Joseph. He's chatting with pitchers. You know, he's an old catcher. Old habits are
old.
Well, he's not a catcher anymore. Old habits are hard to break. Tommy has been facing left-handers the last couple of days since he's been brought up. Whether he starts tomorrow against Williams Perez, he's a right-hander. I would say no, just because of the way Pete's pattern has been. But you never know. Braves have not announced who their starter is on Sunday.
No.
So here's Galvis, 2 for 7 in the last series. Overall hitting .238 with 4 home runs, 17 runs batted in. Braves acquired Whistler from the San Diego Padres, who selected him in the 7th round of the 2011 draft. They have a lot of young players that they've acquired the last couple of years. His production has been one of the bright spots. Aaron Blair, who we saw the other day, who was also acquired in a trade, they sent him down because his production so far has not yielded any success. Two and 2 to Galvis. And Galvis strikes out. Second strikeout for Whistler. Tyler Goeddel coming up. This is his home run, his first major league home run.
I was talking with Cameron Rupp today about Urena and the stuff that he had that day. He said that was some of the nastiest stuff I saw. I said he left one pitch up, and that was Tyler Goeddel, and Tyler made him pay for it.
Tyler, whose brother Eric was promoted to the New York Mets last night, so both Goeddels are in the big leagues. Eric is a pitcher. Tyler said that he got a text from him after last night's Mets game. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Tyler Goeddel had his first major league home run the other day. The game before that, Tommy Joseph had his first major league home run. Swing and a miss, breaking ball, 3rd strikeout for Whistler. It was the first time since Keith Moreland and Ramon Aviles each hit their first major league home run in back-to-back games. That's a long time ago.
It is a long time ago.
Two outs, and Aaron Nola's coming up.
I remember going to a Phillies day game at the Vet. Keith Moreland signed a ball for me.
Still have it?
I do. It's at my parents' house.
Freddie Freeman backpedaling, makes the catch. Side is retired. No runs, no hits, nobody left. Phillies go down in order. We'll head to the 3rd. It's 1-0. question. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fans section for all the information. And please submit your answer on the subject line.
John Smoltz. John Smoltz.
No, it's not right. Who is the only Major League shortstop to have 30 or more doubles in each of the last 5 seasons?
Huh.
Yeah, that's exactly right. When you see the answer to this, you're going to say, no way.
30 or more doubles
in each of the last 5 years. Well, Aaron Nola got out of a jam in the first inning.
He sure did, and broke it back. Good play by Freddie. And I said at the time, you know, it really kept the double play in order, which he was able to induce off the bat of Nick Markakis. Another fine play by Freddie there to get out of that jam. That's what these pitchers have been doing.
So now he'll face the bottom of the order, Malik Smith, Ender Inciarte, and Gordon Beckham. He made the last out, so that's why there's a little lengthier delay in between innings. Malik Smith 2 for 8 in the series against the Pirates. The 2 were home runs. He hit them in the same game.
He's a guy that can roll. So you'll see Maikel Franco weigh in on the grass, anticipating a bunt. See Maikel.
He does bunt toward first. Nola comfortably off the mound and just in time to get Malik Smith, who thinks he's safe. Eddie Perez, the first base umpire or first base coach, did not react. Brian Snitker looking over toward Terry Pendleton, who's on the horn. Braves have had a lot of trouble with replays so far this year.
Not a whole lot of urgency there.
I think he beat it.
Boy, that is close.
I think if Ryan had stretched a little bit more toward Nola, there would not have been an issue. I don't even know if Ryan's foot's on the bag.
I don't think he's all in the bag. But really no sense of urgency on either part of Aaron Nola or Ryan Howard. You're going to see it, a replay here.
Well, here's the thing. What we saw a moment ago and what we showed you, it looks like this is going to be overturned.
I just don't know why Ryan's right foot isn't more up the line. I know the base runner is bearing down on him, but he's stretching towards second base like he's taking a throw from shortstop.
Right.
You know exactly where the throw is coming from, up the line.
Yeah,
put your left foot on the bag and extend your right leg out there. See how his right foot is going towards second? There's no stretch there. There's nothing. He's not on the bag.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to call it when they look at it, is that his foot is off the bag, the sort of phantom tag. The other part of it might have been inconclusive if his foot was on the bag as to whether he was on the, you know, if he had beaten it or not. Sam Holbrook is to the left.
I think he's safe on both accounts. I think he beat it, and I think his foot was off the bag.
Jerry Davis to your right. Jerry Davis is the crew chief. And here comes the decision from New York. And he is safe at first. Ryan Howard was just asking if he was safe or out. So here's Ender Inciarte. Inciarte reached on an error his first time up. Malik Smith has stolen 6 bags. He's been caught 5 times. So if you're Cameron Rupp, you got to be on your toes.
I don't know why we didn't see a little more bounce from Aaron Nola there. You got a guy that you know can flat out fly. He'll be bouncing off that mound. Get to it as quickly as you can. And
well, I think the other part of it too is that if you're going to flip it underhand, you got to flip it with a little more authority too.
Put some pace on it.
Outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Fouled away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Inciarte was acquired by the Braves in the Shelby Miller deal. He had a solid year last year. Hit .303, had 27 doubles. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Nationals have jumped out to a 4-0 lead over the Marlins. Michael Taylor, 2-run home run. Taylor's been basically the everyday leadoff hitter for the Nationals, or was, while Ben Revere was on the shelf, and their leadoff spot has been their biggest problem, average-wise, OPS-wise, but it hasn't discouraged them from sitting atop the NL East. 2 balls and 1 strike to Inciarte. Curveball lifted to shallow left field. Goodell comes running in. That was a good pitch.
It was. You know, you have a fast guy on first base. You just cannot completely abandon your own speed pitches. You still have to be aggressive with them. I say that because you use your fastball to give your catcher a better chance, but you still have to stick to your game plan and execute pitches.
Beckham singled his first time up. Swing and a miss to the curve. It's 1-1. Ben, give me a thought on what's happening with these fastballs. Is he just missing the strike zone with
No.
him? Just not being called?
Yes.
It happens. One ball and 2 strikes. By the way, we mentioned that the Braves were having trouble with challenges this year. It was part of the criticism for Freddie Gonzalez, and it's not, the managers that are totally responsible for it, but that's their first win in a challenge this season. Numero uno.
Holy mackerel.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Beckham. Outside, and it's 2-2.
First win.
Runner goes. Curveball hit down the left field line. It should hook foul, and it does. So Malik Smith will go back to first.
Beckham 3 in a row. Able to get back in the count with the 1-0 curveball. And then 2 consecutive after that.
Got him. Foul tip. Hung on to by Rupp. Strikeout number 2 for Aaron Nola. I don't know what it is about that curve. I know he throws more than one style, but it is so good.
It is so good. You don't have that opposition batting average against a certain pitch unless it is way above average, and that's what his curveball is.
Coming into this ball game tonight, there have been 49 swings and misses against Aaron Nola's curveball. It's second best in the National League. The Jose Fernandez for the Marlins. most used curveballs this year. Rich Hill, who's having a renaissance with the A's. Pomeranz, we saw him. Nate Carnes, I didn't even know he was still in the league. And then Noah with 256. Freddie Freeman hits a towering shot to deep right center field. Borges is back, and it is gone. A 2-run home run, and the Braves take a 2-1 lead.
I think you're looking at a hitter that was sitting on a particular pitch. He does run back a little bit towards the middle of the plate, but I think he was looking for that front door sinker. That's how he attacked. That's how Aaron Nola attacked Freddie Freeman his last at bat. Look here. Yes, it does run back in, but you see Freddie pull his hands in and drive it out to right field.
7th home run of the year for Freddie Freeman. So it's 2-1 Atlanta, and here's Nick Markakis. Markakis hit into a double play his first time up.
Is he getting into the category of Philly killer?
I think sometimes, yes.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
He finds a way to do some damage.
1 ball, 1 strike. Change up. 1-2. A strike earlier, but it's a ball this time. I thought it was a ball earlier when he called it a strike. 3 balls and 2 strikes now to Markakis. So he walks him. Only the 10th walk this year issued by Aaron Nola.
Remarkable. You just never see it out of him.
Little dribbler in front of the plate. Noah's off the mound. Side is retired. 1-3 on the putout, but the Braves do take the lead on a 2-run home run by that guy right there, Freddie Freeman. We'll move to the bottom of the 3rd. It's the Braves 2 and the Phillies 1. I think the next thing the Davis household needs is one of those pups right there. I think all 4 of the kids would love to have a puppy.
That's just what we need, Tom.
Yes, you would. Dress it up like Spider-Man or maybe the Fanatic. Peter Borges will lead it off here in the bottom of the 3rd. And Borges lifts it out toward left field. Ender Inciarte into the alleyway. 1 out. Odubel Herrera's coming up. And what does that mean? Oh, it means we got to go to Murph. Murph?
Yes, we do. I wish everybody could see what I am seeing right now. We are behind Section 210 up here on the Hall of Fame level, and as you guys mentioned, it is Bark in the Park tonight. Well, there are 360 dogs on the concourse out here right now, and we have some special dogs. We showed you guys the pup parade a little bit earlier. Well, we have the Best in Show. 5 dogs, well, actually 6 dogs that won Best in Show. So I want to introduce you to Rafi and Aria. They won Best in Show. And come on over here and check out Lola over here. She's adorable. And then we got Layla. We've got Gemma back there, tiny little Gemma, and Mr. Smarty Pants. Don't forget about Mr. Smarty Pants. It's all part of the 360 dogs that have made their way into Citizens Bank Park tonight. Thanks to Avoderm, Natural Pet Foods, and Nylabone and PetSmart for being the sponsors here tonight, guys. All the dogs, well, they got a neck scarf that they can wear at their next party when they come back to the ballpark. So it is a crazy night. I'm trying to do this entire report without using any bad puns about dogs, but a crazy night up here on the concourse. I really wish you could see it up here, guys, honestly.
Well, Murph, we have a camera on you. We can see it.
Well, yeah, but you can't get the full effect.
We're not grasping the whole thing?
I know the question that everyone's asking at home is...
Where'd you get that belt?
No, not where I got the belt, but you know, when they got to go, where do they go? Well, don't worry, they've got that taken care of, too. There's like a turf field over there.
Really?
That's why we're over here. There's a turf field over there. They can take care of that as well. But what a fun night. Dog owners rejoicing here, watching a good Phillies game, and enjoying man's best friend as well. There, I used the pun. There we go.
All right. Very cool. A lot of Fanatic outfits, Murph. Oh, watch out. Murph, get out of there before there's a brawl. Although Murph has been known to break up a fight or two in his during his life.
So I've heard.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Odubel Herrera. And he slaps it foul to stay alive. Ooh, watch out. Bat goes flying into the stands, and Odubel is struck out.
Man. I thought it was just going to make its way into the Phillies dugout. Against the netting in front of that dugout, and now it was going to go in the stands.
Hopefully everybody's okay. Odubel exchanges his bat for another bat.
What if he gave him another player's bat? Just took
And a ball and another ball. Cesar Hernandez lines one back through the middle, a base hit. 2-out single. Phillies baseball is brought to you by your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer. Visit DelValHondaDealers.com. By WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. And buy your local Ford stores.
He did his first at bat, did Cesar, and does it again, hard up the middle. Just love to see that. When he gets big, he hits balls in the air.
Yeah, it's a great sign to see him just driving it through the middle. Big swing by Maikel Franco. He foul tips that one. No balls and 1 strike to Franco. out, straight up, and back behind home plate. Franco doubled off the wall his first time up. Phillies have 2 hits. That was the first one. No balls, 2 strikes to Franco. Got him. Threw him a breaking ball. And the side is retired. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Whistler. He has 4 overall. Hey, stay away from our camera. Must have some remnants of dinner on there.
I think so. He's got enough location and change of speeds to nullify that game.
All right, now back into the bullpen. I want to ask you, Hector Neris, how impressed are you with what he's been able to do so far this year?
Oh, it's been fabulous. You know, it's something that we kind of foreseed in the future if he could kind of command his emotions and kind of get his pitches in the strike zone. You know, of course, with that split, you know, it's sometimes an unhittable pitch, but everything's based off his fastball command. So once he was throwing strikes with his fastball, he could throw that pitch anytime he wanted.
People ask what the success of this ball club is based on. It seems like it's Hector and Genmar in particular out of the bullpen.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job. You know, they just took the ball and went with it. You know, we were kind of juggling around trying to find out who wanted to pitch the 8th and 9th inning.
Hey, Bob, thanks. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mac. My pleasure.
All right, Bob McClure, the Phillies pitching coach. If you want to find out more about Bob, Ken Rosenthal had a great story on Bob McClure about a week or so ago. Really talked about his development, but also his philosophies as a pitching coach. It was an excellent piece. We start the top of the 4th inning, and A.J. Pierzynski will lead it off. Pierzynski flied out his first time up, and he takes a hook for a strike. It's 0-1. Pierzynski has not played a whole lot on this road trip. It's partly because Tyler Flowers has hit the ball well for the Braves. Pierzynski with 2,000 games played behind the plate and 2,000 hits in his big league career. Off speed pitch, 1-2. Ben, I think the 2 off speed pitches he's thrown that I can remember, he's gotten swings and misses on.
Yes. A change up there, which I'm always a fan of him throwing.
There it is again. Back-to-back changeups. 3 strikeouts for Aaron Nola and 1 away here in the 4th.
Yes, he got a strikeout. Yes, the velocity was about 10 miles an hour slower than his fastball, but the location was absolutely perfect. Exactly where you want it. Cameron gives a low target. It's in the zone. It's in the zone. It's out of the zone. That is really nice movement on that changeup.
Ibar bunted his first time up. I think he thought about slapping that bunt. Ibar missed yesterday's game because he had a chicken bone stuck in his throat and he had to have it removed at a local hospital.
Happens all the time, Tom.
He's fortunate that they were able to remove it, that there were no other issues, but he had to be sedated while they did it. And he arrived at the ballpark in time for the game, but just was not up for playing. I guess it happens all the time. 1-3 on the putout, and there are 2 outs. HP's new series of color LaserJet printers deliver unmatched quality, and their Jet Intelligent toner cartridges print up to 1/3 more pages. Get yours from who but WB Mason today and experience the difference. Nobody beats WB on HP. Here is Matt Whistler, who grounded out his first time up.
Do you not chew the chicken to realize there was a bone in there?
I think sometimes it gets away, Ben. May have been too hot. I don't know. Whistler is down on strikes. 4 strikeouts for Aaron Nola. A 10-pitch inning. We played 3.5 on to the bottom of the 4th. It's 2-1 Braves. Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com to find your RAV4 today. Toyota, let's go places. Let's go Phils. Josh Innes got off the radio today and he decided he wanted to come to Bark in the Park, so he brought his dog Luther. Luther is very calm.
Very calm.
Good looking dog. We go to the bottom of the 4th.
I like to see Josh sporting some Phillies gear. It's good to see.
Ryan Howard will lead it off. He had the RBI for the Phillies. That was back in the 1st on a ground out. 2-1. Braves on top thanks to a home run by Freddie Freeman. That one's out toward right center field. Going back on it is Markakis. He'll have room. Ryan got that just toward the end of the bat. And one away.
First pitch change up there. Ryan Howard just a hair out in front.
Whistler last year was 8-8 with an ERA of 4.71. When the Phillies and the Braves saw each other down in Atlanta, he went 8 innings that day. He allowed 3 runs and 8 hits. And the Phillies wound up winning that ball game 3-2. His last outing was equally impressive against the Kansas City Royals. He went 7 2/3 and allowed only 2 runs. He's throwing some first pitch strikes in this one. Think about it. The first 2 hitters, he did not throw a first pitch strike to them.
No. Was able to get that fastball command back. I know it's only the 4th. It has mixed in some really good breaking balls as well, especially that curveball.
Two and two. Opposite way, and Rupp's got a base hit. Well, the Phillies return off this short road trip, a week-long road trip. They'll take on the Washington Nationals, a 3-game series here at Citizens Bank Park. Monday the 30th kicks it off at 7:05. Hey, listen, at this point, it's the battle of 1 against 2.
Yes, it is.
Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com.
I loved that hit by Cameron Rupp. Some good swings his first at bat. One good swing on the 2-1 pitch. And then hits that missile to right field.
Galvis with a good swing there, fouls it back to the screen. He struck out his first time up. Back toward the middle and into center field. Another base hit for the Phillies. Back-to-back singles. And Tyler Goodell will be the hitter. Well, a couple good swings by the last 2 hitters.
One thing that I was impressed very much so by the Florida Marlins when they were just here for the 3-game series is the fact that a lot of their hitters use the whole field. Cameron Rupp pulled to right. Freddie Galvis pulled up the middle. He tries to pull that pitch. It's a 4-6-3 double play all day long. Nice job by Freddie.
Goodell struck out on 3 pitches his first time up. Trying to work Goodell in. At least they did in his first at bat, and with that first pitch there. Check swing, slow roller right side. Whistler's got it and just takes it right to the bag. Well, that assured him of getting the out, because if Freddie Freeman picked it and then flipped it, Goodell might have won the race to the bag.
I think he would have won the race, considering how fast Tyler gets down the line. Good athletic play there by Whistler. Just excuse me, check swing there. If that ball does get past him, it hit all day long. But Whistler, very athletic play there. AJ goes out to give him a little bit of a breather.
So now it's up to the pitcher, Aaron Nola, to try to drive in a couple of runs. Outside.
Good take by Aaron right there on the curveball.
Pitcher against pitcher here. Base hit would give the Phils at least a tie. not a chance to take the lead. To the right side, Whistler again picks it up, flips it this time. 1-3 on the putout, and that'll do it for the Phillies here in the 4th inning. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left. On to the 5th inning. It's 2-1, Braves on top. The MLB.com app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Two to one, Braves on top. We move to the top of the 5th inning. Aaron Nola will face Malik Smith, and then Ender Inciarte and Gordon Beckham. Both teams are using the pitcher in the 8th spot. The Braves are doing it just because they think Malik Smith is better off in the 9 hole. They think he's an extra leadoff guy because of his speed. He eventually will be the Braves leadoff hitter. At least that's the thought. Pete Mackanin, I think, in a lot of ways is doing it because since he did that, well, he has said this, since he did it and put Odubel in the leadoff spot, the Phillies have won consistently.
They have.
A lot of it's superstition. The last inning, the Phillies had 2nd and 3rd, and the pitcher up. Normally it would be 2nd and 3rd with, let's say, the number 8 batter up. Sometimes they'd walk the number 8 batter and even face the pitcher. Although I don't know if they would do that with the Phillies 9-hole hitter, in this case Peter Borges, struggling offensively. Smith bunts it backward. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You see, it didn't work out in favor for the Phillies that last half inning. But in this game, it has worked out for the Braves. This is the 2nd time Malik Smith is leading off an inning. When you talk about superstitions, baseball players, the most in the world.
Ball and 2 strikes. Cesar Hernandez charges and gets rid of it. And now to the top of the order for Ender Inciarte. Inciarte is 0 for 2. 7 ground ball outs for Aaron Nola.
I'd love to see that. Still kind of in shock that Aaron walked someone last inning.
But it hasn't hurt his pitch count whatsoever, which is good.
Yeah.
He is really fighting to get that inside fastball to be called a strike. I don't think he can throw it any closer to the plate, though, because I think it becomes so hittable at that point. There it is on the inside corner. Strike 3 called. 5 strikeouts for Nola. 2 outs.
Well, you said it. The most consistent you are in there, the more you're going to get a pitch. You might ball it a couple times, but that pitch does come back on the plate. That is just a tough one to hit. A great pitch by Aaron Nola.
Philly fans, next time you want to grab Philly seats, get the StubHub app. Not only will you find seats you'll love whenever you want, you can find the best seat for your buck. When you sort by best value, we take the price and location of seats and show you which tickets at StubHub give you the best deal. So get the StubHub app today. Beckham is hit by a pitch. Comfortable spot to enjoy the ball game out above the bullpen.
A lot of folks roaming around out there. Can't blame them. There's quite a few good spots to eat out there.
Yes, there are. Tosses him a changeup on the first pitch, and it's 0-1.
Unfortunately, Aaron did hit Beckham there, and you never want to face Freddie Freeman with a runner on base. Case in point for what he did last inning, or 2 innings ago, I'm sorry, with a 2-run homer to score Malik Smith and himself.
Slide step and another changeup. 1 ball and 1 strike. Center field, Odubel Herrera is there. And that'll do it for the Braves here in the 5th. No runs, no hits. 1 man left. 2-1 Atlanta on top as we go to the bottom of the 5th. And Peter Borges will lead it off. It'll be Borges, Odubel Herrera, and Cesar Hernandez. against right-hander Matt Whistler out of Bryan, Ohio, just 23 years old. Whistler was supposed to go to Ohio State. He's going to be a Buckeye then. But then signed his contract with the San Diego Padres. Borges takes strike one. Back behind second base, Kelly Johnson will put it away. So Borges retired for the first down, and back to the top of the order for Odubel Herrera. All right, what is Whistler doing that's held the Phillies to just singles since that first inning double by Maikel Franco?
Good command of his fastball, but I like what he's doing with his breaking ball. I don't think that the Phillies hitters are picking up the rotation on it. A lot of check swings, a lot of balls in the dirt that they're swinging at. And you do have to get it going. I mean, he's got very sneaky. Well, I guess there's nothing really sneaky about 94, 95. But he's got a good enough fastball where you have to respect it. Get it started. And if there's a pitch in the dirt, a lot of guys can't check their swing.
There are certain scouting reports, scouting services that we look at from time to time. The one on him said that arm slot was a big issue when he was down in the minor leagues, or I guess it was causing some inconsistency, and it was also enabling the opposition to know when the other pitches were coming. His arm slot's been really good. You've got to get started early because it's 94, 95, and then he throws a hook like that from that same spot.
I always thought, and that's one thing that Aaron Nola does do well, is his release point is very consistent on all his pitches. But guys that tend to get lower and lower with their arm slot, they find that release point can be tough at times.
1 ball, 1 strike to Odubel Herrera. Way outside.
And guys that are conventional, more over the top, guys that can repeat their delivery, a la Cole Hamels. It seemed like his release point was, and repeating that delivery was easy for him. Seems like it's been forever since Odubel had a hit, doesn't it? And he's still hitting 331.
He didn't play the other day, so that's what causes you problems. Although he did go hitless the day before that.
Right.
He's letting that bat fly out of his hand. That's what happened with the strikeout, and then he wound up sending the bat into the crowd. Opposite way, but right at Inciarte, and there are 2 outs. Cesar Hernandez is coming up. All right, it's time now for the Jeep Stuff the Fans Trivia Quiz answer. Ben, the question is, who is the only major league shortstop to have 30 or more doubles in each of the last 5 seasons?
Be their current shortstop, Eric Ibar.
Eric Ibar is correct. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. Got to get Glenn one of those Phillies prize packs.
Thought of Alexi Ramirez.
Really?
Troy Tulowitzki.
I would have thought Tulowitzki.
Thought of Ian Desmond.
I would not have thought Eric Ibar. I would have thought Ian Desmond. One hopper to Ibar. And the side is retired in order. Phillies go down 1-2-3. We've completed 5. We'll move to the 6th. It's just the Braves 2 and the Phillies 1. The week has made large contributions this week to the team's success. First, in the road trip finale, Cameron stepped to the plate in the 10th inning and delivered the game-winning 3-run double, leading to a Phils series victory. 2 nights later, he put the bat aside and defended home plate, receiving the game-ending throw from Tyler Goodell on the way to another Phillies 1-run win. Rupp has had that kind of a week, and it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, the Fanatic was trying to get the dogs all riled up, but how about the dog dressed as the Fanatic all of a sudden doing tricks all by itself? That kind of threw the Fanatic off. Fanatic is friends to all. Nick Markakis will lead it off. Markakis headed to a double play his first time up, walked his last time, slices one out toward left. Goodell lost it in the lights for a moment, but makes the catch. Kelly Johnson's coming up. It's time for a cold hard fact. Here's Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thank you, Tom. Brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light. And Aaron Nola has gone at least 7 innings and allowed 1 earned run or no runs in 9 of his first 21 starts as a Phil. Now, how good is that? Well, that's the most of any Philly over their first 21 career starts since 1913. Now, it's not going to happen tonight, but it's a pretty impressive way to start your Phillies career, guys.
It really is. And he's been impressive in everything that he's done so far. He really has. His competitive spirit is off the charts.
It is.
Oh, 2 to Kelly Johnson, and this time it's called a ball. And Ender Inciarte's in the dugout saying, how can you call that a strike on me? 1-2 pitch to Johnson. In and out of the glove of Rupp.
Can't practice those, Tom.
Why can't you, Ben?
You cannot practice them.
There has to be. You should come up with some way to practice it. You were a catcher. Use your noggin.
Have me stand in the box. I'll do it. Very good at lining out to the catcher.
Inside and low on the curve. It's 2-2. Can't practice it, but it's very frustrating, I would think, for a catcher when that happens.
It is.
There's Brzezinski on deck.
Now, I use the smallest catcher's mitt you could use. My dad would, every time I'd have a foul tip go in and out like that, my dad said, would you use a bigger glove?
Do you think that would have helped at all?
It could have. Definitely, a bigger glove, I always thought, produced a bigger pocket, which I did not want in my mitt.
Still to this day, you have the same glove.
I do.
Over to first. Ryan Howard stays down on it. And there are 2 outs. All right, so were you abnormal when it came to the smaller glove?
No, I mean, a lot of people always talk about the size of my hand, and I have huge mittens. And the glove would stop literally right here. Half my hand would be hanging out. I just had my fingers in there. And I was a guy that put my ring finger and my middle finger together in the 3rd slot. And my pointer was always out of the glove. But really, half of my hand would be sitting out of the glove.
Do you have coaches that try to change on that one? That's a fair ball. Going down to the corner. Borges gets to it. And Przinski's going to get to second base.
It's just something I always liked, having a small mitt.
Well, there are infielders. I mean, second basemen and shortstops usually traditionally have smaller gloves. There are some that have even smaller than the traditional glove because they just like the feel.
Yes.
Glenn Hubbard, who was a longtime coach of the Braves, I thought he used the smallest glove of anybody ever as a second baseman.
A lot of second basemen, obviously, for that transition on turning double play, they liked it to be as small as possible.
They're going to walk Ibar. They're not taking any chances here. They're going to go try to get Whistler. Whistler's grounded out to third and struck out, so they figure they have a better chance to retire him without an extra run scoring.
Big talk today about Major League Baseball possibly doing away with what we just saw.
The intentional walk, well, the 4 pitches.
Throwing the 4 pitches for the intentional walk.
They'll just say 4 and let them go. Now, the people that are against it, it's because they feel like, well, if there's a base runner, whether it be on second, third, for whatever. Listen, one can go, it could be an errant throw. We rarely see it. Swing and a miss. It's 0-1. On the amateur level, that's how they do it. They just say, all right, I'm going to walk this guy, and he'll go to first base. Freddie Galvis at shortstop. Flip to Cesar Hernandez. The decision was the right one because the Phils are done with the top of the 6th inning, and now they can go try to get some runs. They trail it by 1 as we go to the bottom of the 6th. It's 2-1 Atlanta. the E Street Band are coming back to Philadelphia now for 2 shows at Citizens Bank Park. Wednesday, September 7th, and now Friday, September 9th. Tickets for the September 9th show will go on sale Wednesday, the 25th at 10 a.m. through Phillies.com/Springsteen or by calling 215-463-1000. Meet me in the city tonight. That's the song he's opened every show with so far this year, and I'm sure he'll do the same this September here in Philadelphia. Released back in 1980, The River Was the album. It's his only double album. We will be on the road for that concert. The All-Star break, if we want to come see Paul McCartney, he'll be performing here. Billy Joel is also going to be here at Citizens Bank Park.
3 good ones there.
It's outstanding.
Ooh. All right, fellas, let's swing it. Let's swing it for about a half hour.
You want a half-hour inning right
I do.
Oh, Franco just hit Ryan Howard with that foul ball. Fortunately, Howard just kind of spit on it and pointed toward the fair side of the field. Looked like it hit him right on the leg.
So hit it that way, would you?
Boink. Right above the knee. Gotta take more than that and knock him down. Shallow left center field. The second baseman Kelly Johnson is out. So is Inciarte, the left fielder, in. What a way.
So there you see Whistler again going that breaking ball 3 in a row for Maikel Franco, and that one just, it was very late breaking. And Maikel just cues it off the end of the bat there. The location of his curveball and his slider have been very good tonight.
Well, and he's not going to get lifted from this game anytime soon, and he's only at 71 pitches. No balls and 1 strike to Howard. Grounds it foul past Mickey Morandini. Check swing. And Howard strikes out. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And by Sleepy's. Shop Sleepy's Memorial Day sale with up to half off nearly every mattress in the store. Sleepy's, the only mattress professionals. Cameron Rupp will step in. And Cameron lines it out toward left center field. Now Alex Smith won't get to it. It'll take a 1-hop off the top of the wall. Cameron will get to second, and he'll stop there. So he's 2 for 3. 9th double of the year for Cameron.
Just good balance here by Cameron Rupp. He's had the best swings all year. Gets a hanging breaking ball here. We saw him hit a hanging breaking ball on Wednesday for a bases loaded single up the middle. But look at that balance. Look at the strength he has in his lower half. That's where he gets that backspin and drives the baseball towards center field. It's almost like he paused at the end of that swing and said, man, I really hit that one hard.
Here's Galvis, who singled up the middle his last time up.
Whistler going with breaking ball after breaking ball.
Galvis, his numbers with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, not bad.
Whistler's had his way with Tyler Goodell tonight. If I were Freddie, I wouldn't expect a whole lot to hit here.
Yeah, they may just try to get Freddie to get himself out.
Yeah.
I think that's what Brzezinski and Whistler are talking about right now.
Yeah, and I think they both realize it, but what's the most effective way you and I can do that? Do you think hard stuff in off the plate is a good way to get him to chase? Maybe stay soft.
Two and 0 to Galvis. Just going to put him on there.
Yeah.
That'll put runners on first and second. And Tyler Goodell, as Ben said, Whistler's had his way with him. Goodell had 1 hit when they saw each other in Atlanta.
You just have to cheat in here. He struck him out on a breaking ball his first at bat, but he peppered him with fastballs in his first 2 pitches in that first at bat. Second at bat, check swing on a fastball in again. So I'm giving up the outer third right here. I'm turning and burning. Sell out on a heater in. If he dots you away, so be it. Still got 2 more to work with.
Would you do it again?
Yeah. Being a young hitter, do you think Tyler recognizes it?
I don't know. That's interesting. He's bright, but that's a good question.
See, if you sell out for that pitch right there, I think you get the barrel on it and drive down the left field line.
Or would you have known it at his age?
Yes. Yeah.
Based on your other 2 at-bats.
Based on my other 2 at-bats. I know somebody's living in there. I'm going to get him out of there. I mean, it's very apparent. I also had the catcher's perspective in the fact that if I know that I'm just continuing to blow somebody up inside, I'm not changing that until he proves that he can hit it.
A ball and 2 strikes.
A lot of check swings in this ball game.
That one's pulled, just foul.
A little quicker there. Well, that's all, again, part of the maturation process.
Absolutely.
For a 23-year-old.
Fly ball to right field. Markakis is there. And the side is retired. I don't know if Whistler got it to the exact spot Przinski wanted it, but he was able to get away with it. Phils leave a couple. We'll head to the 7th. Time now for your Delaware Valley Honda Dealers game summary. 2-1 as we go to the top of the 7th inning. Freddie Freeman has provided the 2 runs with a 2-run home run, his 7th of the year. Whistler's been really good. Nola's been really good. And now, as we go to the top of the 7th, Nola will go back to work. I never got into funnel cakes. Do you like funnel cakes?
I do, and not being a sweets guy,
yeah,
I do enjoy a good funnel cake.
The one closest to us looks much larger than the other one.
Definitely has more sugar on it.
It sure does. Now it's Smith. Fouls one off to the left. We had to do a fundraising thing at Great Adventure when I was in college. And they assigned me and my buddy to the funnel cake stand. And they left us unattended. So we would give them out if people would answer trivia questions the right way. It was a very popular stand.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
It is great quality, and it is messy. 0-2 pitch to Mallex Smith. Curveball hit toward third. Knocked down by Franco. He better hurry up, and he throws it right on by Ryan Howard. And into the camera well. Smith will go to second. It's a 2-base error charged to Maikel Franco. It's his 2nd error of the night. That's what speed does. It puts pressure on you.
Yeah, I think Maikel goes into panic mode after he stops the baseball. Then you realize who's running. Better stab this thing and get it across the diamond as quickly as I can. He just turns and fires it. Obviously nowhere in the vicinity. Almost took out Eddie Perez over there.
Yeah.
Now you hope this is. We know Maikel hasn't swung the bat all that well, but hopefully he's able to separate his offense and his defense, because that's a play we've seen Maikel making his sleep.
So now Inciarte. I would think Inciarte is going to bunt here to get Mallex Smith over to third. He does square. Outside, 1 ball, no strikes. bunts. Foul. That ball had rolled fair. Rupp had a chance to get Smith at third.
Yep. Ball well fouled up. You got to be really hopping out of there. If you're the catcher behind the plate there, you got to be on your toes.
Hernandez thought about going to third, and Franco points to first. So Inciarte gets his job done. It's a 1 out and a runner at third now for Beckham, who is the hottest hitter for the Braves, at least coming in he was. He was hit by a pitch his last time up. Cervenka the lefty and Ogando the righty. Elvis Araujo is warming up in the bullpen for the Phils. Infield is in. Broken bat, looper over the head of Freddie Galvis, and another run for the Braves. It's 3-1. Well, there's not much you could do about that. It was an excellent pitch. If the infield was back, it would have been caught. But the goal there is to cut the runner off at home, and that's just unlucky.
You obviously have to keep the infield in here, but you're right. It's good execution of the pitch. Beckham just a bit stronger. The ball's straightaway shortstop. But that's what happens. You draw that infield in. So many more opportunities come up if you're a hitter.
Bob McClure out to talk to Aaron Nola. That is an unearned run charged to his line.
Not a whole lot of pep in the Phillies step out here tonight. See that shift. Maybe Mike Kell to pretty much where the second baseman would play. This is duck and cover. See, pitches like that surprise a hitter. If you have a guy on the mound that has such good control, doesn't walk anybody, then he finally does run one up and in on you like that, it really catches you by surprise because he's always going to be around the strike zone. So right there, you got a 2-1 count.
You're not thinking curveball.
Well, not a backdoor curveball there.
It's
like,
a great pitch.
What are you doing to me? You know, you think that as a hitter. Hey, come on, are you for real?
Runner leads off first. Curveball, he reaches and pokes it foul.
You think that curveball is better than last year?
Oh, it's way better than last year, I think. Well, I shouldn't say way better. I thought it was good last year. I think he's just mechanically sounder with it this year. Facing Freddie Freeman here with the count 2-2. Got him. He went upstairs a little bit with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. 2 outs here in the 7th. It's been a week of first for Tommy Joseph, from his first game to his first hit, and of course his first round tripper. He talks about his road to the majors on the next Phillies Clubhouse tomorrow at 6:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. There is Tommy.
Sporting the Bulls number.
He's sporting the Bulls number.
That's right. Last hitter, Tom?
I don't know. I'd let him finish it. Not the game, of course. Fly ball left field. Goodell going back toward the wall. It is gone. Opposite field home run for Nick Markakis, his first of the year. And it's now 5-1. Braves on top. Well, the last time Aaron Nola allowed this many runs, he allowed 7. And that was on April 16th against the Nationals. Since that time, he had been 3-0 with an ERA of 1.32.
Fastball up, out over the plate. Very hitter-friendly ballpark here at CBP, but those lefties love it. Out over the plate, down and in.
So the lead is now 4 for the Braves. Oh, and 2 to Kelly Johnson. 24 RBIs now for Markakis. As we mentioned, his first home run of the year, and his first since September 25th. Back toward the box. Noah's got it, and the side is retired. But 3 runs score. All 3 runs are unearned, though. Been kind of a slot. Trail it by 4 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning here at Citizens Bank Park. You see David Lowe with the bat in his hand. He's going to pinch hit in just a moment. Monday, June 6th, the Phillies will take on the Chicago Cubs in a 3-game series. Wednesday, the 8th, is a Citizens Bank Business Person Special. That's a 1:05 first pitch. Planned now for the only visit of the Cubs, and order your tickets by going to Phillies.com. Well, we mentioned David Lowe is going to come up and pinch hit. Nick Markakis' home run was part of a 3-run top of the 7th inning against Aaron Nola, who goes 7, allows 7 hits and 5 runs, 2 earned. So Whistler has a 5-1 lead to deal with, and David Lowe takes ball 1. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Lowe's popped up and grounded out. That one's a fly ball to left. I should say Nola popped up and grounded out. So 1 out here in the 7th, and Borges is up.
Well, the pitching line, 7 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 runs, 2 earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks. One of those walks being of the intentional variety.
Borges is 0 for 2. He's flied out and popped out.
K positives. Didn't have that fastball command, but was able to make it up with his good changeup. Breaking ball very good again. Biggest positive for me is that changeup. I saw some really good ones.
And he's going to face lineups like this when they set up this many lefties. Yeah, he's going to need it. Although his curveball does play well against lefties.
Got 2 fastballs up. Driven out of the ballpark.
Out of play, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Field line, that'll go foul. Braves have 10 different pitchers who have had a piece of their 10 wins. He has 1 win. If they win tonight, he'll become the first Braves pitcher this year to have more than 1 win. They've used a lot of starters already. 2-2 pitch to Borges. Swing and a miss. 2 outs. Well, they have to be happy with what they've seen from him in his last couple of starts, because he's been. This is how good as he's been. Brian Snitker's coming out, 95 pitches, and Odubel Herrera is going to come up. I am shocked that he's taking him out of this game. Wow. 95 pitches. They're going to bring in the lefty to face the lefty.
Game's changed, Tom. Game has changed.
In about 2 days, it's changed. Coming up here at Citizens Bank Park, it's all part of the Royals series, the first, second, and third. The fireworks will take place after Friday, July 1st game and after Saturday, July 2nd's game. Xfinity Fireworks post-game shows. Get your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. Matt Whistler is 23 years old. He's not going to question a whole lot. Brian Snitker talking to him after he took him out of the game as he went back to the dugout.
Yeah, but 95 pitches.
Everybody has their style. It's shocking though.
5-1. I don't know.
I don't know. They have a bullpen that's 14th in the league, but this guy's been good. And I know there's a lefty that's coming up, but Duple didn't look like he was right on that one. It's 0-1.
I think you'd have a reliever coming in the ball game 5-1. Oh, he's going to challenge me.
Opposite way, Inciarte comes over and makes the running grab. On the side, he's retired. Odubel breaks his bat, but the left fielder does a nice job running that one down. We've played 7. We'll head to the 8th. Braves on top, 5-1. To you by McDonald's. Jumpstart your morning with a hot or iced McCafe coffee. Now starting at just $1. By Jefferson. Call 800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. And by Toyota. Get a great deal on your favorite Toyota during the Toyota Time Sales event. Toyota. Let's go places. 5-1. Braves on top. Bottom of the 7th ended with our Hyundai defensive play of the game.
Inciarte comes in on this baseball. I thought for sure that ball was going to get down. That is an excellent play by Ender Inciarte. Full extension. It's in that big old glove, and that is your Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers.
Well, here's the difference between Ender Inciarte and Joey Votto. Inciarte tosses it to the kid. Kid drops it. Inciarte goes back. A.J. Pierzynski will lead it off against Elvis Araujo. One quick out here in the top of the 8th.
And the night that was Jackie Robinson night, of course, everyone's wearing number 42. We're sitting down there behind the dugout, and my son was able to get a couple balls. He got one for his cousins, and one of the guys said, "Hey, do you remember who threw it to you?" And my brother said, "I think it was number 42." It was a good one.
What did your son say?
He looked at my brother like, "Everyone's 42."
There's Eric Ibar batting from the right side against the lefty. Takes the fastball in the inner half. It's 0-1. Jeff Francoeur is out on deck. Another one knocked down by Franco. Has to hurry again. Not in time. That may be the third error of the night for Maikel Franco.
It will be. He's had the chances. Take a look here.
Ooh, he's out.
He's definitely out.
Yeah, he's out. Well, if they review it, the ball's in the glove and the foot wasn't on the bag, so I'm sure they are going to review it or ask the umpires to review it. Watch it again. You talked about it the other day about the lunge. That was the lunge. And that's going to cause him to be out as Pete Mackanin asked the umpires to review it. So Jerry Davis will head down the line. Watch the whole thing again.
Ibar turns on this ball. Franco's backhand. He gets it. Nice strong arm across the diamond. I think he does get him.
Well, he definitely does by this view. Watch the glove move from Howard. It's in. He's not on. See the ball in the glove in the back of it through the webbing. So he is out. So no error for Franco. And here's Jeff Francoeur to pinch hit. Second review. Francoeur pinch hitting for Cervenka. Jeff does. When we were down in Atlanta, he wasn't taking a whole lot of pitches. He was going firing.
Did you think he would change at all?
He was going firing even more so than last year.
Location of all these fastballs. 3-0, perfect pitch down and away. 3-1 pitch, pretty much the same spot.
Every time the Phillies pitchers retire, the opposition 1, 2, 3. Comcast will make a donation to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Brett Oberholtzer's warming up in the pen. Runner goes. Pitch is fouled back. I think Frank Cool would have had that base stolen, and he would have rubbed it into Cameron Rupp if he did.
Yes, he would have. French is smiling there. Of course, Jeff was holding court again today down on the field with all the Phillies coaching staff and some of the players. There really is nobody better in the game. He's just a great guy, personable, and loves playing baseball. He puts you in a good mood, does he not?
Yes.
He really does. We all say that about you, big guy.
Not like him, though. 1-2 pitch. Here's Inciarte. Galvis will just take it to the bag at second to get Frank Core, and the side is retired. No runs, no hits, one man left. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. It's 5-1. Braves on top. Take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. All fans coming to the ballpark will receive the AT&T Maikel Franco Bobble figurine. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. You can add it to another long list of Bobble figurines the Phillies have given out over the years. Franco will get a chance to bat in this inning against Bud Norris, the new pitcher for the Braves. Cesar Hernandez will lead it off. It'll be Hernandez, Franco, and Howard. Bud Norris has not had a good year, 6.11 ERA. He's given up a lot of hits and a lot of base runners overall.
Walks have always hurt Bud Norris. Stuff-wise, always had it. Good arm. Mid-90s guy. but walks have really plagued him over the years.
Cesar Hernandez has a couple hits tonight. Bunts up the third baseline, foul. Two to Cesar.
Very unsure swing there by Cesar.
And if you're facing Bud Norris, you got to be sure, because this fastball gets on you, even if it's out of the strike zone a lot of times.
It's a hard slider there at 90 miles an hour.
Johnson to his left has it. One out. And that'll bring Michael Franco to the plate. So, Murph, did Jackie Bradley Jr. extend his hitting streak?
He did. I think he did with a home run. And that's just part of our greater coverage of baseball tonight, brought to you by T-Mobile. But what we really want to talk about, Tom, is, you know, if you wanted to be winning a division or be in the hunt for a wild card, you have to play well against your division. And the Phils have done that so far. 21 games so far against teams from the NL East. They are 13-8. That's the highest winning percentage in the East versus the East right now, followed by the Nationals, then the Mets, Marlins, and Braves. So Phil's playing well against the teams that they need to beat, the teams that they see most often. We also told you they've won 7 of their last 8 series, and dating back to last season, 7 of their last 10 series against the NL East, the Phils have come out on top. So if they don't come back in this one, they'll have to win the next 2 in order to win this series against the Braves. But that's what they've been doing consistently against the NL East in the past 6 or 7 months, dating back to last year, guys.
Well, it's good to see this year. You know, you think about the way this season began, the 3 losses to the Reds, and then the Friday loss to the Mets. And there were a couple articles in the New York papers talking about how bad the Phillies were and were going to be this year. And since that time, they've turned it around. In fact, 24-13 since beginning the season, 0-4.
Remarkable. Just remarkable.
2 balls, 1 strike to Franco. 3-1.
On this field tonight, we have 2 clubs that the long ball is tough for them. Not too many home runs hit on either team. The Red Sox, on the other hand, they've hit a home run in 20 straight games. 20 straight.
Play, and it's 3-2. Yeah, whereas the Braves, their 2 home runs tonight, they have 8 home runs in the last 5 games. They had 9 home runs in the first 36 games. Three and 2 to Michael Franco. Broken back ground ball to third. So Bud Norris gets the first 2 outs rather easily here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And Ryan Howard is coming up. in the dirt. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. Outside.
What a shift. About as deep as you'll see any second baseman play against Ryan Howard.
There's Ivar, who is the shortstop. He's basically playing where the normal second baseman would be. And then there's Kelly Johnson.
That's got to be a 120-foot throw. If you were to field it right there.
Upstairs.
Talk about that mid-90s fastball. There it was there at 95. So I'm get up to 97. And Cesar Hernandez.
Now it fouls it back to stay alive. Just keep throwing fastballs.
You have to. It's a 5-1 ball game. 2 outs. Challenge him. Six balls, 11 strikes thus far. Bud Nars.
There's ball 4. Howard hesitated for a moment. So a 2-out walk, and that brings Cameron Rupp to the plate. He's had some good swings tonight.
He's had some very good swings. Bullet to right field for a single. Bullet to straightaway center field. Just around that 409 mark out in the straightaway center field. Cameron, if he's just one of those guys that really trusts himself, realize just how strong he is. He doesn't have to pull everything.
0-2. Freddie Galvis is due up next. Bills try to mount a comeback. Brzezinski tried to hold it there for a moment. Way outside.
Kroll and Grilly getting hot in the pen.
Ground ball to shortstop. Ibar has it, and they retire Howard, and that's it for the Phils here in the 8th inning. No runs, no hits, and one man left. On to the 9th. It's 5-1 Atlanta. A ball game between the Phils and the Braves. Plus, you'll hear from Pete McTannen. Only on Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies Postgame Live. Steady as she goes, Rich. Steady as she goes. 5-1 as we go to the top of the 9th inning. Phillies trail it. Brett Oberholzer will take over for the Phils out on the mounds. 2-0 with an ERA of 6.75. I think when Pete McTannen assesses this ball game, at least up to this point, it's somewhat lifeless for the Phils, and it's partly because Whistler was so good out on the mound for the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I talked about it earlier. Just not a whole lot of pep in their step out there. I don't know why. Is it because the Braves and just coming in with the 10 wins? That's why it was one of my keys, Tom. Don't look past the Braves.
We talked about that during the last series when the Phillies faced the Braves. As strange as it sounds, I asked Pete, I said, do you have to say anything to the guys about playing them?
Yeah.
And he said no. He said just a reminder, let's keep our foot on the pedal. Facing a Braves team that's off to its worst start in franchise history. The Boston Rustlers, who were part of the Braves franchise, they were 10-30 at one point in the early 1900s.
Tough time for the Rustlers back then.
Well, they just didn't have any pitching. 2-1 pitch outside, 3-1.
You tell yourself not to, as an athlete, but I see a whole lot of energy out on the field tonight.
And ball 4. So Inciarte draws the leadoff walk here in the 9th inning. And Beckham will bat for the Braves. Braves, who started this road trip against the Kansas City Royals and then took on the Pirates, lost 3 of 4 to the Pirates. They lost 2 of 3 to the Royals. And now this is the final leg of this road trip before they head back home. Phillies, meanwhile, after this series is over with, they'll head to Detroit, take on the Tigers, and then to Chicago for the first time, first of 2 trips to Chicago. This time they'll face the Cubs. Cubs play the Giants tonight. That should be a heck of a series.
Yes.
Arrieta pitches tonight. Peavy pitches for the Giants.
Arrieta. He's good at pitching.
He sure is. Giants have won 8 straight. Their lead in the West is 3.5 over the Rockies. Sounds weird to say. Their lead in the West is 3.5 over the Rockies.
He's one good hitting ball club.
Mets defeated the Brewers 3-2. Steven Matz, who missed a start, and they were concerned about it because of arm problems. He got the win. He's 6-1.
I can't imagine them skipping a Harvey start.
He was pretty bad last night. That has not been good this year. Of course, immediately people went back to last season when the Mets wanted to keep a limit on him, and they went past that limit. And Scott Boras, his agent, said that there was nothing wrong with what the Mets did last year. It was Matt's decision. But he has a league-leading 6 losses and an ERA of 5.77 after 9 games.
Alarming.
Now it's 3-1 to Beckham.
They're spending an awful lot of time and concern with Inciarte at first base. Forgetting what his task at hand is.
Popped up foul over the Phillies dugout. Out of play. And it's 3-2. Jim Salisbury from CSNPhilly.com has a story on online that he posted a day ago about Brett Oberholzer. As that one is fouled off. It's archived on it and was reposted a day or so ago. It's from back in January, and it talks about Oberholzer, how excited he was to come to the Phils from the Astros, how he grew up going to games at the Vet and early on at Citizens Bank Park. Runner goes, pitch is popped up. Ryan Howard over at first base. Puts it away.
Good height.
Really good height. So 1 out. Freddie Freeman is due up. Freeman is homered tonight. It was a 2-run shot. And he waves at that first pitch from Oberholzer. Last 6 innings for Oberholzer have been scoreless innings. That was after he allowed 4 runs back on the 2nd against St. Louis, but he has started to put it together here. Oh, 0-2 pitch coming to Freeman, and he lays off 1-2. opposite way. That ball is smoked. Goodell is back, and it is gone. A 2-home run game for Freddie Freeman. This is a Braves team that hasn't hit many home runs this year, but they have 3 in tonight's ball game. It's now 7-1 Atlanta.
Another good swing by Freddie Freeman.
Well, I think he's getting into that area of being a Philly killer.
Yeah.
At least tonight he is.
I just always remember him, watch him doing damage to the Phillies. It's a fastball down the middle. Nothing else you could really say. It's a good strong base there by Freddie Freeman. Good extension out through the ball. Just like he did in Atlanta. Goes opposite field.
So his 7th career multi-home run game. Markakis takes outside.
Actually, nothing makes sense. And I'm not complaining.
Markakis has a hit tonight. That was the opposite field home run his last time up. And a pitch low. It's 2-2. Boy, he made some really good pitches to Freeman early on in his at bat. Just unable to finish him off. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And a line shot foul.
And how many times do we talk about when a really good hitter gets a really good pitch to hit?
Yeah.
They don't miss it.
Well, he did not miss it.
And that was a really good pitch to hit. Regardless of if you have 2 strikes on you or not. There's a reason these good hitters accumulate the numbers they do, because they take advantage of a pitcher's mistake.
Cesar Hernandez roams to his right. And that's the 2nd out. And that'll bring Kelly Johnson to the plate. Good pitch there. It's 2-2.
I've always liked the change up in lefty on lefty. First one I've ever really did it with was with Jamie Moyer. He was able to throw that change up in and out, but follow a change up in off a fastball in, have some success.
Cesar Hernandez will pick that one out of the air. Side is retired, but 2 more runs score for the Braves. As we go to the bottom of the 9th inning, it'll be Atlanta 7 and the Phillies 1. 9th inning here at Citizens Bank Park. Well, it's time now for our W.B. Mason deliveries of the game. A 3-homer night for the Atlanta Braves.
Which you don't really see a whole lot. Freddie Freeman with the 2-run homer there in the 3rd inning. Nick Markakis with a 2-run opposite field home run of his own in the 7th inning. And then Freddie Freeman again with a fastball, center cut, lifts it out to left for another 2-run homer in the 9th inning. And they are your W.B. Mason deliveries of the game.
So a little power tonight for an Atlanta Braves team that has not shown a whole lot of power during the course of the season. Alexi Ogando will be the new pitcher. Ogando, 3.38 ERA. And he will face Freddie Galvis, Tyler Goodell, and then the pitcher's spot. Here at the bottom of the 9th inning, game 1 of a 3-game series. Game 2 is tomorrow at 3:05.
It's where if you're a Philly hitter, you just can't fall in the trap of, we'll write this one off, we'll go get him tomorrow. Take every at bat like it's your first at bat of the year.
First pitch is fouled back by Galvis. Poor soul had it in his hand. It bounced in front of him off the railing. He had it again if he reached it. It went over the railing. Had it. Had it. Oh. It's like a slinky. Swing and a miss. 0-2. Ball spinning when it's coming up like that.
Coming in hot.
So I got to bring a glove to the ball game, Ben.
So I've heard, Tom.
0-2 pitch. Oh, no. Not far enough.
Ooh.
That became a weapon.
It did. Ricky straight off the seats down there.
Oh, yeah. Let's flash back.
Piece of cake, Tom.
I had that glove and that baseball in my hand today.
Did you really?
I did, yeah. Outside,
walking around the house with it?
Somehow it was on my dresser. I don't know why I wound up on my dresser. So I was moving it back down to my office. One ball and 2 strikes to Galvis. Swing and a miss. He got him with a high heater. So 1 out here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Good hard fastball upstairs. Looks enticing, but cannot catch up to it.
Tyler Goodell will now step up. Tomorrow it's scheduled to be Adam Morgan on the mound for the Phillies. Williams Perez on the hill for the Braves. Perez pitched very well the last time the Phillies saw the Braves in Atlanta. And Adam Morgan pitched very well the last time the Phillies saw the Braves.
Very well.
His hometown team. Tommy Joseph is out in the on-deck circle. Pitcher spot is due up next. Outside.
We have to be ready to hit right here. 2-1. That was a good fastball. A good pitch to hit on the 1-0. Looked like Tyler was ready to take a good swing at it.
Swing and a miss. And it's 2-2.
And he drops the slider on you. See Tommy on deck.
Opposite way, base hit for Tyler Goodell. Markakis cuts it off. A one-out single. Goodell now 7 hits in the last 4 games. And Tommy Joseph will come on as a pinch hitter.
Boy, was that a ting of beauty. Bullet to right field. He hits the ball as hard as anyone I've seen to the opposite field.
I would agree with that.
It's almost like a lefty hitting up there and hitting a line drive to right field.
Yep.
Lets that ball get deep, and I could say shoots it to right, but that's not shooting the ball to right. It's blistering the ball to right.
Tommy Joseph is 4 for 10 so far. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Nothing straight. Lodondo on the mound.
That was the softest pitch he's thrown to at 93 miles an hour.
Softest fastball.
Two and one. Two. Washington has defeated the Marlins 4-1. Tanner Roark the win. Justin Nicolino suffered the loss. So if this score holds, the Phillies will be 2 back in the East. 2-2.
Good take right there. Very good take. Didn't even budge on it. Means you're seeing the baseball well.
Swing and a miss. He got it with the breaking ball. So that's the second out. And Andres Blanco will now pinch hit.
Slider. Looking for 95. Drops an 84 on you.
So Joseph is retired. And here's Andres Blanco pinch hitting. Blanco 3 for 11. Couple of doubles. Out of play.
Andres always ready to hit. Love it.
Runner goes. Pitch is popped up. Pierzynski will look off to the left side. I don't think he saw that right away, and he makes the catch, and he celebrates, and the ball game is over. The Braves are taking game 1 of this series by a final score of 7-1. For the Phillies in the 9th inning, no runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. The winning pitcher winds up being Matt Whistler, who goes 6 2/3. And he kept the Phillies off balance. He struggled the first 2 batters, but then was able to figure some things out. He had a good breaking ball here tonight.
He did have a good breaking ball, and he found his fastball fast. First 2 hitters really nowhere near the zone, but then he really settled down with that fastball, started to mix in some off-speed pitches, and really just had the hitters baffled. Were the Phillies hitters this evening, and you'll tip your cap to him. He really kept them off stride. But enough giddy up on his fastball, had to respect it. Got a lot of strikeouts with his breaking ball, and he is your Chevrolet player of the game.
So the Braves take game 1 7-1 over the Phils. We'll be back to wrap things up from Philadelphia right after this.